Let me ask you something, have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you were there? Or maybe you found yourself searching for words in the middle of a sentence, names you've known your whole life suddenly slipping through your fingers like smoke. If that's ever happened to you, even once, you need to hear this. Because here's the terrifying truth that no one really wants to talk about. Dementia is one of the fastest growing silent epidemics among older adults, and most people don't even see it coming until it's too late. In fact, nearly 1 in 3 seniors will develop signs of dementia, and here's what's even scarier, most of them won't recognize the symptoms until the damage is already done. Not because they weren't smart, not because they didn't care, but because the signs start so quietly, they're easy to brush off. A little forgetfulness here. Some confusion there. Maybe a bad mood, or pulling back from things you once loved. You chalk it up to stress. To aging. To just having a bad day. But what if I told you, those small things could be the first whispers of something much more serious? Something that could one day take your memories, your identity, even your independence. Just think about it, forgetting your children's names. Getting lost in your own neighborhood. Needing help just to take a shower or cook a meal. That's what dementia can do, and it doesn't wait for permission. By the time most people realize what's happening, the changes in the brain are already well underway. And here's the part that hurts the most, doctors miss it too. That's right. Even trained professionals often dismiss these early dementia symptoms as normal aging. But it's not normal. And ignoring the warning signs could cost you years of health, clarity, and freedom. This is a senior memory loss warning you can't afford to ignore. Because the earlier you catch it, the better your chances of fighting it. But here's the good news, it doesn't have to be this way. What if I told you there are people in their 70s, 80s, even 90s, who are thriving? Their minds are clear. Their memories are sharp. They live alone, drive, stay active, and they aren't afraid of the future. And no, it's not because they were lucky or rich or had perfect genes. It's because they knew what to watch for, and they acted before it was too late. You see, dementia doesn't always have to be a life sentence. When you catch the signs early, when you understand the red flags and make simple changes, it can make all the difference. That's what we're going to uncover today, together. More than 90% of older adults have never been told what you're about to hear. Not by their family doctor. Not in their yearly physical. That's because so much of the advice around brain health is outdated, incomplete, or just plain wrong. But now, research from places like Harvard and the National Institute on Aging is finally catching up, and what they're finding is shocking. Dementia rarely hits overnight. It builds up quietly. And if you know how to spot the early symptoms, you may just have time to slow it down, or even stop it before it steals more than it already has. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the top 5 dangerous signs of dementia you must never ignore. One of them is so subtle, most people miss it completely, until the damage is done. Alright. Let's dive into the top 5 most dangerous early warning signs of dementia that far too many seniors overlook, signs that might seem small, but could be your brain's way of crying out for help. Number 5, subtle changes in everyday decision-making. This one slips under the radar all the time, but it's one of the first signs doctors now recognize in early dementia. I'm talking about those little day-to-day choices that used to be simple, but suddenly feel confusing. Maybe you've missed a few appointments, paid a bill twice, or not at all. Maybe you've ordered something online and wondered later, why did I even buy that? These aren't just senior moments. They could signal that your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, judgment, and problem-solving, is beginning to struggle. Science shows that early dysfunction in this region often appears years before a full dementia diagnosis. But most people brush it off and say, it's just normal aging. No, it's not. Not when it starts to affect your safety or finances. Here's what you can do, start keeping a simple decision log. Write down daily decisions, what you spent, who you talked to, what you scheduled. After a few weeks, patterns will emerge. If you notice consistent confusion or repeated mistakes, talk to a neurologist. The sooner, the better. Number 4. Withdrawing from social activities. The next sign is often hidden in silence, and that silence can be dangerous. Have you stopped going to your book club? Do you find yourself turning down invites, even from people you love? Or maybe you used to love playing cards, visiting neighbors, or attending Sunday service, but now it just feels exhausting. This isn't just about being tired. It's about social withdrawal, one of the biggest red flags in early dementia. Why? Because your brain thrives on connection. Conversation, laughter, storytelling, these stimulate parts of the brain responsible for memory, language, and emotional regulation. When you withdraw from social life, those areas get less activity, and that can accelerate cognitive decline. Here's the tip: make it a point to have at least 3 meaningful conversations a week. Not just a quick, hello, real, heartfelt conversations. Talk about memories. Ask questions. Share stories. That simple act keeps your brain's communication pathways active, like exercise for your neurons. Number 3, repeating questions or stories. Now this one can be easy to dismiss, especially if it's someone you've known for years. You tell them something, and 5 minutes later, they ask the same thing again. Or maybe they keep telling the same story, not once or twice, but over and over, like it's the first time they're sharing it. Sound familiar? Repetition like this isn't always just being forgetful. It can be an early sign of short-term memory disruption, which is one of the most telling symptoms of dementia in seniors. See, the brain has different memory centers. Long-term memory, like your wedding day or where you went to school, often sticks around. But short-term memory, what someone just told you 20 minutes ago, that's often the first to go when cognitive decline begins. And here's what researchers at Johns Hopkins and the Alzheimer's Association have found. This kind of repetitive behavior can start years before a diagnosis is ever made. It's not stubbornness. It's not carelessness. It's your brain trying, and failing, to process new information. What should you do? Don't ignore it. Don't brush it off with a smile. Start tracking the patterns. When do the questions repeat? What kinds of things are being forgotten? If the repetition becomes more frequent, bring it up with a specialist, someone trained in cognitive health. The sooner it's addressed, the better your chance of protecting your memory and brain function for the long haul. Number 2, confusion with time or place. This one can be especially frightening, both for the person experiencing it, and the people who love them. Maybe you've looked at the calendar and felt completely lost on what day it is, even though it was just mentioned an hour ago. Or maybe, worse, you found yourself confused in a neighborhood you've lived in for decades. Streets feel unfamiliar. Landmarks seem different. You hesitate, unsure which way to turn. This kind of disorientation is not normal aging. It's a major early warning sign of dementia-related cognitive disorientation, a breakdown in how the brain processes time and space. Why does it matter so much? Because confusion with time or place directly threatens your independence and safety. Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that seniors who experience disorientation are at much higher risk for falls, accidents, and even getting lost, which can become life-threatening if left unaddressed. But there are ways to fight back. Here's a practical step: use large print visual calendars in key areas of your home, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom. Set gentle alarms or reminders on your phone or smart devices to keep you anchored to your routine. And most importantly, stick to a consistent daily rhythm. Wake up at the same time. Take meals at regular hours. Keep your environment familiar. These small habits help reinforce your brain's internal map, strengthening orientation and helping reduce confusion. Number 1, personality or mood changes. Now, this one might just be the most misunderstood, and the most dangerous, of them all. Because when most people think of dementia, they picture forgetfulness. misplacing keys, repeating stories. But few realize that the very first signs may have nothing to do with memory at all. Instead, it might be your mood. Sudden anxiety, irritability that seems out of character, or even a strange sense of suspicion, like someone's out to get you, when nothing has actually changed. You might feel more easily overwhelmed, frustrated, or even angry, especially in situations that never used to bother you. Maybe you've started snapping at your spouse, avoiding phone calls, or feeling like your usual routines are just too much to handle. These are not just emotional shifts or getting older. These could be your brain's first distress signals, signs that the regions controlling emotion and personality, like the frontal and temporal lobes, are starting to falter. According to research from the Alzheimer's Society and the Mayo Clinic, unexplained mood swings, especially when paired with forgetfulness, may be one of the earliest predictors of serious cognitive decline. And because these changes are emotional, they're often dismissed, brushed off as just being in a bad mood or going through a phase. But you know your own heart better than anyone. If you've started to feel unlike yourself, if your family notices something feels off in how you act, speak, or react, please don't ignore it. Here's the rule: mood changes plus memory issues equals time to see a cognitive health specialist. The earlier you intervene, the more power you have to protect your independence and your peace of mind. Each one of these signs, on its own, might seem harmless. A missed bill here, a bad mood there, skipping lunch with friends, telling the same story twice. But put them together, they paint a picture that's far more serious. A picture of a brain in distress, long before a diagnosis is ever made. And that's why we can't afford to ignore them, not you, not your loved ones. Because dementia doesn't strike like lightning. It creeps in quietly, often while we're looking the other way. But if you catch the signs early, you give yourself the greatest gift of all: time. Time to get help. Time to make changes. Time to protect what matters most: your independence, your memories, your identity. Let's go over what we've covered, because these aren't just facts, they're your early defense against one of the greatest threats to senior independence today. Number 5. Subtle decision mistakes, like missing bills, strange purchases, or feeling confused by simple choices. Number 4. Pulling back from social activities, avoiding calls, skipping hobbies, losing interest in things that used to bring you joy. Number 3. Repeating questions or stories, not out of habit, but because short-term memory is starting to fade. Number 2. Confusion with time or place, like not knowing what day it is or feeling disoriented in places you've known forever. And number 1. Changes in mood or personality, sudden anxiety, irritability, or becoming suspicious of others without cause. These 5 signs can sneak up slowly, sometimes over months or years, and that's exactly why they're so dangerous. But now, you know what to look for. You're no longer in the dark. You're no longer waiting for someone else to notice. Because when it comes to dementia in seniors, early action is everything. The earlier you spot these symptoms, the better your chances of preserving your brain health, staying sharp, and maintaining the freedom to live life on your own terms. These signs don't mean it's over. They mean it's time to begin paying attention. And if even one of these sounded a little too familiar, don't panic. Just take the next step, speak with a trusted health professional, start tracking patterns, and build a brain-friendly daily routine. So, which of these signs caught you off guard? Was it the subtle decision-making slip-ups? The growing forgetfulness? Maybe the changes in mood that didn't feel like you? Or maybe, it wasn't you at all. Maybe you've noticed one of these signs in your spouse, your brother, your lifelong best friend. Here's the truth most people don't say out loud. Dementia isn't always loud. It doesn't come with flashing lights or sirens. Sometimes, it tiptoes in quietly, and if you're not paying attention, it can take years before anyone realizes something's wrong. But you've already done something powerful. You've chosen to learn. To stay aware. To protect your future self. So I want to ask you. Have you seen any of these signs in someone you love? Or maybe, in yourself? Don't stay silent. Don't second-guess your instincts. Leave a comment below. Share your story. Because when one person speaks up, it gives others the courage to do the same. And that conversation, that honesty, might be the one thing that saves someone else from waiting too long. And hey, tell us where you're watching from. We've got folks tuning in from Florida to Fresno, from small towns to big cities, and your voice matters here. And if you've ever met someone who seems to defy their age, who's still sharp, witty, and full of life at 80 or beyond, share their secret in the comments. What are they doing differently? Because here at Thriving Age Tip, we believe aging doesn't have to mean decline. Not in your memory. Not in your energy. Not in your joy. If you want more powerful, practical, and science-backed tips to protect your brain, strengthen your body, and keep your independence strong, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You'll get simple tools, real research, and easy-to-follow habits every single week, all designed with you in mind. This isn't just about surviving the years ahead. It's about thriving through them, with clarity, strength, and purpose. You're not too late. You're just getting started. And we're right here with you, every step of the way. This is Thriving Age Tip. And your best years? They're still ahead.